Yeah, I'm kind of surprised I'm up here, honestly. But so this isn't really my salvation story, but I wanted to share something that I've been dealing with for about 2 years or so. But to kind of give you a little background on me, I'm the third child in my family, and I was after a couple months after I was born, my dad died. And my mom, so single with 3 kids, struggling. Anyway, she got remarried when I was 6. And my childhood was kind of a mixed bag. There was good stuff, there was bad stuff. There was a lot of brokenness and a lot of conflict, and it wasn't a very smooth transition, but got on. My parents are both Christians. They took us to church. They taught us, things from the Bible and all that. So, to give you a sense of where it came from. But as a child, my stepdad would do weird and inappropriate things to me, mostly just humiliating. But this kind of went on my whole childhood. But there was one time that kind of went beyond this. I didn't know what to call it at the time. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't tell anyone about it. And then fast forward 2 years later, or 2 years ago, some circumstances kind of led me to tell Abby what happened in detail. I basically told her what I just told you before, but her reaction really surprised me. I wasn't expecting that. But it's because now that it's kind of out in the open and I'm thinking about it as an adult, I realized that what he did was molest me. And just as a kid, the way I protected myself was by just not thinking about this, by numbing myself, by sticking this thing in a shelf where I didn't have to deal with it. As I couldn't rationalize and hold tension two truths that were conflicting. That he could be this Christian man he was to everybody, and he had to do this, and I think it was easier for me to just ignore this. Okay, so 2 years ago, this is all now out, and I'm realizing this kind of turned everything upside down, and seeing him in a different light. It was kind of happening over gradually, but this sort of pushed it over the edge. And I'm wrestling with, here I am with kids that are like 10 or whatever, and I'm just now considering, is he safe to be around my kids? Wrestling with all that, but anyway, it's like hitting a reset button in my head in a lot of ways, because it just had this weird effect in my mind that when you believe something for so long about somebody close to you like that, and then suddenly, almost overnight, it feels like it's turned up, it's not true. I just started to find myself asking about almost everything that I've ever believed. Do I still believe this? Do I still believe that? It's just kind of an unconscious question that creeps in, and it was creeping in, and it's not like I was, and it's extended to my faith, but it's not like I was doubting so much. It was just, I found myself having to go through this, consciously remind myself why I believe in what I believe in. Because I've been a Christian for a long time. I've had periods of doubt, but this was different. It used to be kind of second nature to, I always knew that God was with me, and now it's sort of like, well, do I still believe that? Yes, okay. So that was 2 years ago, and I'm still dealing with that a little. It's frustrating, but it's more like a hesitation now. But I was trying to think, what is this like? It's like 2 images come to mind. It's like I used to be in the room, and now I'm outside the room looking in through a window. It feels that way sometimes, or it's like the other image I had was, it's like I've fallen off a horse and I'm trying to get back on, but it just keeps trotting away, just a little, not fast, just enough to where I can't catch up. But I am getting better. It's just take a long time to recover from that, I think. And just a step back about all this, I'm convinced that this was all prompted by the Holy Spirit, because the circumstances that led to this even coming about 2 years ago was beyond coincidental. And it's leading to a lot of healing in my family. relationships that are growing that weren't really there with my siblings and my mom, and so there's a lot coming out of it, but it's a process, you know. I do want to talk a little bit about forgiveness and what I've learned going through this. And I was going to look at the clock, see where I am. I have no idea how long I'm going, but just give me like a warning if I'm going too long. But and I'm still learning this. I want to emphasize that. But like, first of all, for me, I know it's, and this is, you know, I was thinking about Bree's testimony last week. Mine's kind of coming at it from a different angle, but like, you have to, in order to forgive someone in a healthy way, you have to actually acknowledge and experience acknowledge that you were hurt and feel the pain that they did to you. And if you numb yourself like this, and you say you forgive someone, you're not really forgiving them if you don't actually experience it and don't acknowledge it. And so for me, it's sort of an incremental process. I thought I forgave him before, but I'm still forgiving as I accept more of what happened. I'm not sure I've fully forgiven yet either, but anyway, I'm working on that. I think another thing that's come to mind is that the word forgiveness in English, it seems to have two meanings. And there's the internal part where somebody has taken something from you or wronged you and they owe you something, right? And you're entitled to get that back, to get retribution, repayment. But forgiveness is releasing that right. It's letting go and saying, I'm not going to expect your repayment anymore. And so that's internal. That's a decision you make. You can actually do that without ever talking to the person. But there's the external part, that the reconciliation, restoration of that relationship. And I think we can, if we're not careful, especially in a Christian culture, is use the phrase forgive and forget and basically try to just restore the relationship without any real reconciliation. That's I believe that's not real forgiveness. That's hollow and empty. And, you know, I think we can get in this position where we feel like if we let somebody know that they hurt us, then we're not forgiving them. We just need to forget it. And that's essentially what I was doing. Maybe not the same reason, but it's not being honest. And so I think you can forgive somebody and release them of that and still say, but our relationship's not going to be the same going forward. You can have boundaries. It's okay to do that. I'm convinced of that. And it's actually for their good. It can be, certainly, if maybe allow them to acknowledge what they've done. If they're not. In the last couple of years, I stumbled on this verse that jumped off the page, Luke 17:3. If your brother sins, rebuke him, and if he repents, forgive him. And it's just interesting here. First of all, it doesn't say to forget that he sinned against you. It says to rebuke him and do that first, and forgive if he repents. I think here forgiveness means the whole internal, external, the reconciliation and forgiveness. But and I'm not saying to build a whole theology off of one verse, but take it in the greater context. But still, it's just something I've been thinking about and wondering. It stands out. I'm still learning about it, but I'll share one more thing about this. Actually, two more, because I thought of something else that I wanted to share as Warren was talking. But yeah, I mean, if I do ever come up here and share my whole testimony, I used to share my testimony to people, and it always felt like there were holes in the story. I always felt as I struggled to put together the story, and I think it's partly because I wasn't admitting this part of it. But anyway, something to keep in. I don't know. If I had to do the whole story now, I'd have to think it through, because I still don't have all the pieces put together, I think, in my mind. But I think as I was going through all this and trying to understand how to move forward, I couldn't imagine my stepdad. I couldn't picture him repenting and humbling himself. He's basically, I would say he's a textbook narcissist. And I've never seen him cry. A few times seen him angry. He doesn't really show a lot of negative emotions. But shortly into this, I felt like God gave me an image of almost like a video of him just totally breaking down and just genuinely apologizing. And it was like nothing I've ever seen before. I could not have dreamed it up, because I've never seen anyone cry like this, but it was so real. And I felt like God was telling me that this isn't a guarantee that this is ever going to happen, but this is what it would look like, and this is something you can hope for. And yeah, I don't know. And here I'm 2 years trying to work through this. I've gone through phases where I'm really pressing in, and then times where I'm just tired of it all and not really doing anything to work on it. But anyway, that's, like I said, I'm kind of in the middle of it. Hopefully it's on the tail end, but it's probably not, if I'm honest. And I just want to share, some of the things I've picked up and learned through it. So thank you for listening.